All right, what's up, guys? I want to hop on here real quick. We know that Charles Oliveira fought Gamrot the other night, and Charles Oliveira made it look pretty easy. Beat him with a round two rear naked choke. Pretty easy work for Charles Oliveira. Even though Gamrot came in on short notice, he did say that he had been training recently. You know, he had been in training. He was training, not getting ready for a fight, but he was training. So it's not like he was coming all the way off the couch. And Charles made it look pretty easy. And in Charles' post-fight, and we know this was in Rio. This was in Charles' hometown, Brazil. In the post-fight interview, Charles Oliveira called out Max Holloway for the BMF belt. Now, that's pretty interesting because, you know, they fought a long time ago where just randomly Charles had he had a neck problem or he had something in his chest or collarbone or something. Something happened in the fight where he just curled up in a ball and had to stop. And both fighters have come a long way since then. Both have went on title runs. I mean, both have become champions and fan favorites since then. Now, my first thought was, initially when I seen this, my first thought is Max is going to destroy Charles because I think Max is in it right now. Max is in it to win it right now. And Charles is on the back end of his career because Charles is just a little bit older. Just a little bit older than Max. He's not old, just a little bit older than Max. Max is really young. So I feel like Charles is more at the end of his career than Max is. But then I also heard somebody say the grappling, which is very true. If they get into a grappling exchange, I can't see anywhere grappling that Max is going to beat Charles. Submissions, jiu-jitsu, takedowns, anything. I think all that's going to be Charles. And we know that Max can hit. We know that Max flatline KO'd Justin Gaethje at 155, and he did. But you also got to account for Max doesn't really have any TKO or KO wins other than that. If he does, they're just like on the feet. The guy's still relatively there. He's just not fighting back. Like he doesn't have that put your lights out power like Ilia Topuria does. Where what Max did to Justin in the fifth round with 1 minute left, where Gaethje was hanging on for dear life. Ilia Topuria did that to Charles in round one when Charles was still very, very, very there and alive. So that's the difference in the power. So I don't see Max Holloway TKO or KOing Charles Oliveira. If Max were to win, I feel like it's going to be a unanimous decision victory for him. It's going to go to a decision. But I do see other ways for Charles to win. Charles does pack a pretty good punch, you know, with Michael Chandler, Justin Gaethje. Charles does pack a pretty good punch, and his finishing ability is really there. He can drop you or rock you and then hop on a choke, hop on a submission, and that is pretty likely to happen. Charles does have way better wrestling, jiu-jitsu, submission. Striking may not be as good, but I feel like he has a little bit more power in his punch than Max does. So I think it'll be very, very, very interesting. Now, for the BMF belt, I did see something on Instagram a couple days ago where Charles Oliveira said that he would like to fight Max Holloway in his retirement fight. And, you know, there were speculations that this fight against Gamrot in Rio or anybody he fought in Rio, considering he turned around real quick off the flatline KO loss to Ilia Topuria. He turned around real quick and jumped right back in there in the Rio card. We were thinking that the reason he wanted to be on that Rio card was because he wanted to retire. Like, if he won, he wanted to lay the gloves down in his home with his people and be done there. Now, maybe he had planned on it, and then he won, and that fire came back, and he sees a chance at, you know how the BMF belt works. The BMF belt so far has been like, well, if you can't get the real title at that weight class, we'll just throw a BMF belt at you. You know, just this fucking the BMF belt has been held by people that can't get the real title at that weight class. It just has. Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, Jorge Masvidal, Max Holloway at 155. He couldn't get the belt. And I don't think the UFC I don't think it's smart. I don't think it's good for the UFC to give a guy a title fight in his retirement fight. Because then if Charles Oliveira were to beat Max, get the BMF belt, and then retire, it's like, well, what the fuck? Now, the BMF champion has now just dipped out, and now we got to find the second best guy to be the BMF title. And it just leaves this gap of whoever gets the belt next, whoever fights for the vacant BMF belt, whoever gets that is just like second best because you didn't beat the actual BMF belt holder. So, and the BMF is also weird because Ilia Topuria beat Max Holloway but didn't get the BMF belt. Like, I don't know how that works. I feel like the BMF belt has not been like secluded to one weight class. So I feel like the BMF belt should transfer and go to whatever person wins. Like it shouldn't have to be put on the line. It should be an all the time active title. I mean, obviously, how the hell does he lose a fight to Ilia Topuria but stay champion? Just because that's not the belt they were fighting for. I think that's kind of bullshit. It should go to whoever, whatever. It shouldn't have a weight class. It shouldn't have any of that. It should just go to winner, like point blank. I feel like people would agree with that. It makes sense. So the BMF title is already kind of some bullshit just because of that reason. The BMF title holder is never really the true champion, as we can tell so far. But if they make that fight official, I'll do my official prediction of that fight. But other than that, those are my thoughts on it. And from a fan, I would love to see it. For the fighters in the UFC, I don't think it's that great of a fight. I just really don't. Because if Max loses, you've got Max in a tough spot here. He's one loss. And then if Max wins, I don't know. I don't think Charles Oliveira wants to retire. And if he does want to retire, he probably wants to retire on a win, not a loss. So then you kind of got Charles hanging around a little bit longer trying to get that other win back. So that's why I think about it. Like I said, I'll go into a real prediction if they make that fight official. But for now, that's it. Like, subscribe, tell me what you think, and I'll see you guys later.